Hi, I'm Joe from Joe's Country Junction, and I decided that I would dive into the Flosstube world. I'm not a big time stitcher and I'm not stitching all the time, but I do have some fun when I do stitch. And I would say I regularly stitch, but if I'm lucky, I maybe get 5 hours of stitching a week, which doesn't equal into a lot of projects that are finished. So I don't know how interesting I'll be, but today I think I will start off with telling you a little bit about how I got to be cross stitching. First off, I was very big into crafting when I was a kid, and my mom was a great person to be a support to me, to let me try new things and do new things. And so I can say that I cross stitched, I sewed, I did embroidery, I did quilting. Pretty much if there was a thing that needed thread or yarn, I tried it. Some things stuck with me and some things didn't stick with me. And cross stitch is something that did stick with me for quite a while. I think I got married when I was about 20. Yeah, 20. And we had kids right away. We had 3 kids right away. And so we had a newborn baby and a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old. And I learned that I still wanted to cross stitch. And one of the things that I could do that was craft-wise to keep myself happy and sane while I had all those 3 little kids running around was to cross stitch. The kids would play in the living room and I would cross stitch while I watched them. And it was something that I got some me time, but I could still be the mom. And so cross stitch was perfect for me then. And back then, I didn't even know about linen. I didn't know anything. I just bought a little kit and stitched it. I'd buy some Ada cloth and I'd buy a book and do a bread cloth or something and give it as a gift. But I didn't do stitching like now I am, like on linen. I didn't do, fancy samplers or patterns or anything like that. I just did simple little projects that I could do pretty easily with the kids being there on the floor. So, maybe about 3 years ago, I discovered Lizzie Kate, and it was just a weird thing. I was looking at somebody's blog or something, and I saw this Lizzie Kate project that says, gratitude turns what we have into enough. And I absolutely love the project. It was just awesome. I decided that I wanted to stitch that, and I wanted to stitch that bad enough that I was going to go find the fabric, I was going to go find the thread, and I was going to go find the pattern, and I was going to stitch that. And my kids were kind of like, Mom, you don't cross stitch. It's like, yeah, I do. You just don't remember. I've kind of had a hiatus and I do cross stitch. And so I got that and I stitched that and I was in love with that. And so from there, I did some more Lizzie Kate projects. And I really love Lizzie Kate things, and was so sad. I just discovered her and then she retired. Thankfully, there's more patterns, and that's awesome that patterns can still be had that are designed by her. But I kind of like expanded a little bit, and then my husband got sick, was in the hospital. He had lung cancer, and I ended up stitching a lot in the doctor's office. He had several week-long stints in the hospital where he had to stay in the hospital from complications, and he eventually passed away in June of 2019. And I've stayed cross-stitching, and I'm glad I have, and it's a great outlet. I'm a little better at relaxing now that I'm cross-stitching, because before I used to be really go, go, go. My primary craft outlet is still quilting. I do love cross-stitching though. So this spring, I got excited when I saw this design. It's Seeking Refuge by the Scarlet House. I just love the saying. With COVID going on, the saying says, when the world seems to be out of control, I find a way to nurture my soul. Seeking refuge with needle and thread, the angst and anxiety I no longer dread. Well, it was just perfect when COVID was going on. So I saw this, I ordered it when we first kind of heard of COVID, and I got it about mid-March. And so then I started stitching and was really excited about stitching that. And it took me 3 months. Like I said, I'm a slow stitcher, and I finally finished it. I'm very, very happy with it. I had very few mistakes, and I was very excited because I stitched it on 40 count linen. I didn't know I could do that. I was just so excited, but I wanted the project so bad, and I wanted the finished project so bad that I was brave enough to try 40 count linen. Well, I didn't know if that was just a fluke or if I really actually liked 40 count linen. So then I went on and I stitched this Beth Twist pattern. And it's her Pins and Orts pattern from Heartstring Samplery. And I really had an awesome time stitching this. I still haven't fully finished it, but I really did love stitching that. And I can tell you this, I stitched this on 40 count Picture This Plus linen, and the Seeking Refuge project I did on 40 count Vintage Country Mocha. And I love stitching on both of them. So then spring comes along and I end up falling in love with Teresa Kogut's samplers. I mean, who didn't? And so I ended up buying her samplers. Of course, I bought Heaven and Nature Sing. I bought Pet All the Dogs. Speaking of dogs, my dog is sitting me on the couch with me and totally distracting me. I bought Faith, Hope, Love, Peace. And the one that I was most in love with was Newcastle Bouquet. Do I have that upside down? I do have that upside down. Newcastle Bouquet. I just love that. I really just adored that pattern. I love the big, pretty, really pretty design around the outside. The border is just so awesome. And I really wanted to stitch that. And so I went and I decided that I was going to stitch that. And like the other projects I've done, I decided that I wanted to do it. So I decided that it was going to work, because that's what happened when I did that Lizzie Kate pattern. That's what happened when I did the Seeking Refuge pattern. I didn't really think about whether I could do it or not. I just started stitching. And so I thought I was just going to get the stuff and I was just going to start stitching. So I got the linen. I got the called for linen, and it's Weeks Dye Works linen. And I went around and I stitched and I stitched and I stitched and I stitched and I stitched, trying to get that little border done. You know, I started out doing this, and then I did 2 more blocks, and then I realized that I was off a stitch, and then I ripped it out, and then I went this way and I did a couple blocks, realized I was off a stitch, then I ripped it out. Then I decided, okay, maybe you just need to go around, do the whole border, make sure the border matches up, and you're gonna have your border matched up, and then from there, after your border matches up, you can go back and stitch those, and you don't have to worry about whether it's matched up or not. Well, that was not a good day. It was not a good thing. I could not get that border to match. And the first time I went around, I was like 4 stitches off. How am I 4 stitches off? I was just sick. So then I ripped out, and I ripped out probably half of the border. I went back and I started stitching again, and I came around and I was 1 stitch off. I was just so frustrated. I was mad, I was angry. I took the project and I pretty much chucked it. And I decided, okay, maybe just me deciding I'm going to do something isn't all the things and qualifications I need in order to make a project. And I don't mean to sound like I'm conceited or something. I'm not. But I was like, why can't I do this? I was so upset. And so I kind of got thinking, you know, were you just kind of cocky before? Were you lucky before? What kind of happened that you could stitch those other projects, but you couldn't stitch this project? Well, then I was watching a Flosstube. I don't even remember whose Flosstube it was. And they said something that the person said, I don't really prefer Weeks linen. I went, what? And I don't really prefer Weeks linen. I thought, maybe it's the linen. Could it be the linen? And so anyway, I ended up deciding, okay, I'm just going to do another project. I'm going to see. I am not going to do a project on Weeks. I'm going to do a different project. I'm just going to see if it's the linen. So I don't have the pattern for this, but this is another Beth Twist. And it's a sampler, just a little small one. And it's supposed to be done on like 32 count. And I did it on 40 count. because I had this piece left over of Picture This Plus Mellow Linen. And the saying on this says, "In the world you will have troubles, but take heart, I have overcome the world." And I really, really like this. I don't have this fully finished yet. I'm kind of a cheapskate, and I have to find a frame from Goodwill or something before I'll get it framed. So I'm on the lookout, though. I've got the measurements in my purse, so hopefully I'll find a frame that will work for it. But you know what? I stitched this on the Picture This Plus 40 count linen. I didn't have a single problem. Of course I wasn't matching anything up, but I loved it and I enjoyed it again. And so I decided, okay, Joe Kramer, it's time to pull up your big girl pants and get this done. And so I decided that I was going to try it again because I really, really, really wanted to do this. And besides, I was so frustrated because I had spent all this money on these Teresa Kogut samplers for the charts, and here I wasn't able to stitch them. And I was just so frustrated. So I went and got myself some vintage country mocha, and that's what I originally stitched the Seeking Refuge on. And look, I did it. My border all matched up. My border matched up the very first time I did it. And look, I've even got some border done. I am just thrilled. I'm so excited to be stitching again. Seriously, when I had that before, when I was stitching on the weeks, I was ready to just chuck it. I was ready to even be done cross-stitching. I was just so sad that I couldn't do this because this is the kind of stitching I wanted to do. I didn't want to be not enjoying my stitching because that's just no fun. Who wants to do anything that you're not enjoying? So this is what I'm working on currently. It is the Newcastle bouquet pattern. Let me grab it again so you can see another look at it again. It's the Newcastle bouquet pattern that Teresa Kogut does. And I am so happy to be stitching it. Every night it's like I hurry and do my stuff so I can sit down to stitch again because I am happy. And so through all this process, I ended up talking to Nancy at Needle Case Goodies. And Needle Case Goodies is an Etsy shop that's online, and Nancy is absolutely wonderful. I talked to Nancy one day. Well, not talked to her. I messaged her back and forth, and I said, "Is something wrong? Why am I having such a trouble?" I said, "Could it be the linen?" And she said, "Yes." I'm so excited. I know I don't want to say anything bad against somebody, a linen company or anything like that, but weeks is just not for me. I just can't do it. Every time I stitch on anything else that I preferably vintage country mocha or Picture This Plus linen, I have a success. So I decided, even though I bought linen for other projects, I'm just gonna go back. I'm gonna just get on Stash Unload and sell that stuff that I bought before, and I am just gonna only stitch on vintage country mocha and Picture This Plus. And so Nancy got in a big order of Picture This Plus linen. She told me that they're kind of having trouble right now because of COVID and stuff, that it's a backlog on orders of Picture This Plus linen. But Nancy got an order in, and she told me that it was going to be coming in soon. So every morning and every night I stalked her website on Etsy, hoping that I would find the linen and it would come. And when I did, I went a little crazy. I ended up spending like $200 on linen. I know that's just crazy, but I want to be happy when I stitch. And after I sell some of the linen I already have, I'll probably break about even. So anyway, I'm super, super happy. I'm super, super happy to be joining the Flosstube world. And I'm glad that you joined in with me. I don't expect that I'm going to be a person that has, like 4 fully finished projects done every day or every week or even every month, because I really prefer to stitch one big project. I really prefer to be a monogamous stitcher so far. I sometimes have a little small project I might be doing besides a big project that's more or less a travel project, but I really don't love having like 10 projects. Like I said, I'm a quilter by heart, and I'm a quilter first, and I always have lots of unfinished quilting projects. Right now I'm doing a challenge, it's called the Dirty Dozen, and I actually have 32 projects, not 12 projects that need to be tackled. So being I have all of those quilting projects, I don't want to have a whole bunch of cross-stitching projects too, because that would just drive me too crazy. But I am slowly kitting some things up, and I'm going back through some of the things I previously thought I had kitted, and I'm taking out the linen and I'm finding new linen for it. I'm just so happy, and I'm excited because I really feel like I could do it again now. I was okay if I was going to be off a stitch, but when I was constantly ripping out, I was just sad, and it just was not a happy experience. So now I'm excited again. I've got a nice stack of linen from Nancy. I highly recommend working with Nancy. She's really awesome, and fast shipping and cheap, reasonable shipping too. So, and I've got a bunch of threads because I was missing threads. One day I sat down and I made myself a little list like this, and it was the next 4 projects I will do. That that'll probably take me all of next year, to be perfectly honest. And I wrote down all the thread I needed, and then I went around and find it. But oh, what a hard thing it is to find thread. I mean, I couldn't find it all at the same place, so I had to order from like 2 different places. But I'm happy in general, and I think I'll have another day here of kitting and getting things reorganized, and I'm just happy to do it though, because I won't be stitching on weeks. I'll be stitching on something I like and I can stitch on. I'm so excited. So anyway, I really appreciate y'all watching, and you can always find me on my blog, joescountryjunction.com, and I primarily share more about quilting than I do about cross stitch, but I do share about cross stitch. I do share about audiobooks I've read, things about our family. We live in Iowa, kind of a rural area, a very rural area actually. We live in a town of like 250 people, and so I have a lot of fun, and my grandkids are around a lot too, so you have to put up with some grandkid pictures too on the blog. But I will sign off now and say goodbye. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll probably be around again in about another month or so, when hopefully I have Newcastle Bouquet a little bit further. So thanks so much, and have a good day.